The wait is over. The Honda Highness CB350. Now in the time since this bike was launched, Virat Kohli's become a father, Donald Trump has lost his office, and Kartikeya Singh has actually grown his first grey hair. Anyway, now that Honda's done counting the number of Activas it sold last year, it's actually given us one of these to ride, and we've got something to tell you about it that nobody's told you so far. We'll get to that in due time, but for now, remember to subscribe to ZigWheels, hit the like button if you enjoy the video, and let us know what you think in the comments below. So anyway, back to the bike. Now you've been seeing it everywhere online for the last few months, so we're not going to waste time talking about the design and things like that, even though it is as gorgeous as it is. If that's what you want to hear about, you can check out our walk around video somewhere up here. We're going to jump straight into what it's like to ride, and there's no better place to start than the engine. Most retro bikes have long stroke engines with a meaty bottom end, an okay mid-range and no real top end. The Honda also has a long stroke motor, but it doesn't quite have that grunty bottom end. In fact, at low revs it actually feels quite weak. But what you do get instead is a very strong and even spread of torque across the rest of the rev range. Once you're past that initial sluggishness, the motor pulls cleanly and strongly, almost surprisingly so, pretty much all the way up to the red line, and we even saw 130 kph on the speedo at some point, all while being accompanied by this lovely soundtrack. So the engine pulls well and it sounds great, but what's really given it the right to wear these lovely chrome Honda badges is the refinement. It's absolutely smooth at all times with no vibes to be felt even when lugging it or revving hard, which makes it a pretty good long distance bike. Adding on to that is the tall gearing, like properly tall, like a V-Box 98 kph in third gear kind of tall. You'll actually prefer to keep the bike in 4th on a trafficked highway because 5th is an extremely tall gear that's best suited to just a steady cruise on empty roads. If you do want to overtake, you will find yourself wanting to come down to 4th. That's no biggie because the clutch is super light, like pull it in with your pinky finger kind of light. It's the assist function that shines through much more than the slipper function. The gearbox is also similarly light and very smooth. The even spread of torque and tall gearing also make the CB350 quite effortless to ride in the city. You can pretty much park it in 2nd or 3rd and treat it like an automatic, using in-gear pulls to steadily build speed and haul ass when required. It's only when you try to be opportunistic and seize gaps in traffic that you feel the need to downshift before accelerating. In the urban jungle, the motor manages a very respectable 42 km per litre. Once again, talking about long distance abilities, this seat is another winner from Honda. Well shaped, well padded and comfy even over long hours on the road. And with 15 litres in the tank and a highway mileage of over 45, those long hours are going to be very possible. And they'll seem even more effortless because of the excellent suspension setup on this bike. It really is one of the highlights of the Highness. The visual impression you get from looking at the approaching bump and the physical sensation of going over it almost don't seem to match. It hurts your mind sometimes how good this bike is at flattening out our roads. From about 30 kph up to 100, the suspension setup feels absolutely spot on. Cruising any faster than 100 though can be an issue, not just because of the lack of any wind protection, but also because the front end of the Highness begins to feel very light and vague at high speeds, especially over bumps, to the point where I found it going into a severe tank slapper a few times. So Honda, if you are listening, get rid of the traction control and this Bluetoothy stuff and throw in a steering damper instead. Since we are on the topic of features on the Highness, we performed full bore standing starts of this bike and the traction control system never kicked in once. So its application on a day-to-day basis is questionable, but still it's nice to know that on rainy days or those occasions when you encounter an oil slick, you have the safety net there. I can't tell you much about the Bluetooth system because I don't have a Bluetooth headset and you can't do much without that, but I was quite impressed by the LED headlight. Not only does it look stylish, but it also has nice spread and brightness. Our test bike had it aimed a little low, but it does have the brightness to throw further if you wanted to. The only real issue I had was the color temperature, which is a bit on the colder side, which could become an issue in rainy or foggy conditions, but otherwise for normal riding, you're pretty okay. For its compact size, the digital inset manages to pack in quite a lot of info while still remaining clear and easy to read. My only real complaint about it is that navigating through the info is a weird and confusing mix of these buttons on the handlebar and these buttons on the cluster itself. The USB charging port is of the Type C kind, which could be an issue for people at the moment, but it is a future-proof decision. The bike is called the Highness, and Honda has given us the royal treatment with this top-of-the-line DLX Pro variant. But to be honest, unless you have a Bluetooth headset or are hung up on the dual-tone color schemes, you'd just be paying Rs 6,000 more for an extra horn. And the DLX variant will do just fine. It gets all the important bells and whistles, including traction control, the slipper clutch, LED lighting, and semi-digital instrumentation. Maybe you're not the sort of person who cares about features. Maybe what you want is a sporty and exciting riding experience. If you do, look elsewhere, because the Highness, even though it's a light and easy handling bike, it's not going to set your heart racing in the twisties. Where it really does shine though is back in the city, because that's where it beautifully masks its 181 kg curb weight. I mean, I'm a skinny guy and even I found it very manageable even in traffic. You've got loads of steering lock on offer and maneuverability is effortless. If you are on the shorter side, nothing to worry about either, because at 800mm the seat height is very doable. Brakes are Nissan's, which explains why they feel good and bite hard, and the dual channel ABS works wonderfully well. So now that you know everything there is to know about the Highness, let's tell you what nobody's told you so far. A lot of people out there, including Honda apparently, seem to think that the Highness is a rival to Royal Enfield and its Meteor 350 and Classic 350. I mean, the retro design approach, the displacement figure, even the name seems to be targeted at Royal Enfield. But the Highness isn't a rival to the Meteor at all. I mean, it looks delightfully old school, but in terms of riding experience, it's a thoroughly modern bike. Right from the character of the engine to the way that it stops and goes and handles, the Highness feels straight out of 2020. The only things really old school about it are the design and the soundtrack. So as a bike then, it's actually much closer to the Jawas than it is to the Meteor. The Jawas, thanks to their Mojo underpinnings, again, perform like modern bikes while looking retro. So if you want a true blue classic biking experience, you're probably still better off with something that's made like a gun. But if the idea of a retro bike that performs like a modern day bike sounds interesting to you, then stay tuned for our comparison of the Highness and the Jawa coming up soon.